For centuries, people crossing the rugged Rockies or the jagged peaks of the Sangre de Cristo Range were thrilled to discover a hidden mountain valley, the stunningly beautiful Valley of San Luis. Today, the area has become a magnet for skiers, hikers, swimmers, and those with a taste for the wild. Especially wild stories, because some here say this place is a magnet for the mysterious, and that not all the visitors are human. It's a wilderness wonderland that may be attracting tourists not only from this world, but from others. Join us now as we journey to the San Luis Valley. Welcome to the beautiful San Luis Valley, a lush stretch of plain hidden high in the mountains on the border between Colorado and New Mexico. It is a natural geological jewel that stretches from the snow-capped peaks of south-central Colorado to the sun-baked deserts of northern New Mexico. By winter, an icy wonderland. By summer, a sparkling piece of sunny paradise. Measuring 80 miles long and 50 miles wide, San Luis is the largest alpine valley in the world. The 4,000 square mile area is ringed by the Colorado Rocky Mountain Ranges, with peaks that reach 14,000 feet into the heavens. Every clear night brings a breathtaking light show, the glory of the cosmos on full display. But some people believe that not all those bright lights are stars. From the small towns like Salida to the sparsely populated counties of Saguache and Alamosa and Taos, there are people here with curious tales to tell.
December 23rd, 1999, this mysterious pillar of light looked like it was shooting up out of the ground into the sky.
This giant black mass just went down the middle of the valley.
Absolutely unexplainable. No noise, no nothing, just a light coming up and going.
For true UFO believers, this valley has become America's UFO Central. According to the Computer UFO Network, the largest database of purported sightings in the world, it boasts more sightings per capita than any other region of the country. The number of UFO reports have recently begun to escalate at an unusual rate. No one knows for certain why.
Since September, October last year, I've seen a real upsurge in activity, whereas the 2 years before, there was hardly any.
This kind of upsurge is common in areas where people claim to see UFOs frequently. It's even been given a name. It's called a flap.
A flap period is when a report of a UFO comes out and all of a sudden many people start seeing UFOs.
Tom McDonough is a senior scientist of the Skeptics Society and coordinator of SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence at the Planetary Society, the international organization founded by astronomer Carl Sagan and colleagues. He believes there's a reason why UFO reports seem to happen in waves.
One report gets a lot of coverage and people start looking at the sky, which they normally hardly pay attention to, and suddenly they see things that they didn't notice before.
It's the old Psych 101 experiment where you go stand on the street corner with a couple of your buddies and you stare up at the top of the building, and before you know it, you've got 20 people around you, then you've got 50 people around you, and everybody's looking. What are they looking at? This is a type of mass hysteria where you can generate group action and have a lot of people, just by suggestion, see things that aren't actually there.
Michael Shermer is the author of The Borderlands of Science, the publisher of Skeptic magazine, and holds a doctorate in the history of science. He says the explanation for the San Luis Valley lies in science, not science fiction.
90 to 95% of all UFO sightings are fully explicable by usually unusual aircraft or aircraft moving at a strange angle that it's hard to see.
On the northernmost edge of the valley, the small town of Salida gets a big share of the reported UFO sightings. Beautiful Salida sleeps peacefully in the heart of the Rocky Mountains, at the geographic center of Colorado and the northern entrance to the majestic San Luis Valley. It's an old Wild West town that has been transformed into an artist's community of painters, sculptors, and silversmiths.
Most of the galleries in Salida have the gallery out front, and then behind you'll see the artist studio, so you can sort of interact with the different artists that live in this community.
Geraldine Alexander and her partner Michael Boyd own The Culture Clash, a studio specializing in metalwork by Michael and other local artists.
These are oil lamps, and this is a bud vase, and this is this delightful little thing is a nightlight, and it will turn on as you twist it.
Just down the street from Culture Clash is one of the finest restaurants in town, the Spaghetti Western. Here they have fun with the town's unearthly reputation.
I hear you have some delicious chips and flying salsa.
You bet. They go with the Martiantinis.
Yes.
They're delicious.
Ask owners Kat Jackson and her husband Dakota about sightings. They'll say they haven't seen any, but they do keep an open mind.
We tell our kids that the whole world is a really, really big place, and it would be maybe presumptuous of us to think that it was all about just us.
For a place to stay in Salida, there's the River Run Inn. The rooms boast turn-of-the-century antiques, private baths, and plenty of peace and quiet.
There are no TVs or phones here in the rooms. There is in the main room downstairs, and I find that actually it's kind of nice for guests. Some of them are wondering where the phone is right away, but that way they really have a vacation. It's like coming to the country. There's no pressure, nothing, and so it's a lot nicer. If they need to make a phone call, they can go downstairs.
Guests also enjoy a full breakfast every morning and homemade cookies in the afternoon.
More like a comfortable old country home than it is a museum kind of fancy B&B. And the guests do like that because it's casual.
The hotels and shops cater to a year-round parade of tourists and vacationers drawn here by the awesome slopes of the Rockies and the inviting waters of the Arkansas River.
It's really a playland, you know.
But Virginia Nemmers, keeper of the inn, concedes that many of her guests come to Salida to see sights you won't find on any tourist map.
You see bright lights, or you see periods of lights, or you see things moving, and you don't always know what they are.
One such mysterious sighting took place just down the road from the River Run Inn. In fact, it is considered by some to be one of the most spectacular purported sightings ever captured on video. You have just entered Salida, in the heart of the Rocky Mountains, and the northern entrance to the majestic San Luis Valley. Population 5,000. Some think it should be called the Colorado Circle, the mountain's answer to the Bermuda Triangle, a place where the locals say weird tales abound.
It's important that we make a distinction between these two different questions. Is there intelligent life somewhere in the cosmos, and have they come here? Have they come here? No evidence of it yet. Are they out there? No evidence of it yet.
Still, the skies over Salida have been the site of sightings of some kind for more than a century. And there aren't too many sightings that have escaped the attention of Jim Wagner.
Very good morning to you. It is now 8:34 at KVRH, and you're tuned to the Community Forum. We have a fascinating show lined up this morning. We're talking about all the strange UFO sightings and aerial phenomena and other strange occurrences that have been happening around the valley.
The local talk radio personality has compiled a large list of reports phoned in by listeners who claim they've witnessed unexplained lights in the night sky.
If you have witnessed strange phenomena in the sky around the valley, give us a call right now at 539.
We were driving home at dusk and saw a fireball, just a huge yellow ball just drop straight from the sky.
This thing was absolutely huge. It was flying silently. It displayed aerodynamic characteristics that are not usually associated with terrestrial aircraft, although we cannot rule out some kind of stealth program.
And there was an object hanging in the sky that looked like a garbage can. And we watched that garbage can shape turn into a disc and cover the whole mountain range as far as you could see up to the northwest.
This is a hard-working, very conservative community, but something is definitely going on here, and people are wondering what.
I think it's going to be a good night.
I bet there's nobody else out there, Jeff. It's too cold.
Jim Roberts and his son Jeff have made it their mission to find out.
Hey, Dan, what's that up there? Let's go ahead and pull off here.
Yeah, we'll pull in here and take a look.
It's going right into some clouds right now. You got any binoculars?
They're a pair of amateur UFO hunters who patrol Salida's dirt roads trying to capture photographic evidence of extraterrestrial visitations.
Oh, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
See, that's the only thing I hate.
There's nothing new about that.
Nope.
What I have primarily seen has been different colored balls of light. The white and the silvery balls. I've seen the salmon colored balls of light that are just instantaneous. 6, 7, 8 seconds and they just blink off, you know.
And Roberts believes his photographs prove it. He also captured 2 of his most unusual sightings on videotape.
The first one was at night, and it was just, again, just a ball of light that actually was moving around some. Most of the ones that I've seen have not really been moving. They're just stationary, but they don't last that long.
Roberts says he saw the second one in the skies just above his house.
I looked behind me and I saw this ball in the sky. And I thought, shoot, the garbage can wait. So I came back and got my video, and I taped it for a bit. I probably watched it for maybe 10, 11 minutes, and then it just gradually faded out.
To skeptics, Roberts' sighting sounds more like a rare but well-known lightning phenomenon than a UFO.
There is a phenomenon called ball lightning that produces fireballs. These are often produced by high-voltage transformers, power lines, and things like that. It's not completely understood, but we at least roughly understand what's happening, that if you have a high voltage, it can break down the air around the object into electrons and ions. These glow similar to a neon light, and under certain unusual conditions can actually maintain a roughly spherical shape and move around like a helium-filled balloon.
Another backyard sighting was recorded on video by Salida resident Tim Edwards. It was August 27th, 1995. Tim Edwards and his daughter Brandy had gone outside to check the weather before the two left on a camping trip.
I looked up, I seen a very white, very intensely lit, glimmering white light coming in from the west, and it appeared to almost be walking or stepping across the sky, like projecting itself to the next image, but at an incredible speed.
Tim ran back into the house to grab his video camera and managed to record almost 10 minutes of this unidentified cigar-shaped object. UFO believer and former nuclear physicist Stanton Friedman, who's made a second career out of investigating UFO-related stories, finds the Edwards footage intriguing.
It's truly an unidentified flying object, whether it's a flying saucer, alien spacecraft. I don't know. It's still in my gray basket, maybe.
Cigar shape with lights around it, that's what blimps look like. Now, I don't know if this was a blimp. Maybe it was a blimp-like structure. Maybe the government's testing some unusual aircraft. It's hard to say. Grainy videos are hard to make out. When things are hard to tell, when they're in that blurry borderlands there where you can't quite make it out, the mind fills in the gaps.
Whatever it is Tim Edwards caught on video, it's kept local people wondering ever since. Tim's experience inspired him to open a restaurant called E.T.'s Landing, which doubles as a kind of clearinghouse for UFO sightings in Salida, a place where locals come to see the latest pictures and reports of UFO sightings and to exchange tales of their own close encounters.
Light come up, and it just took off on an angle about like that. That was it. Absolutely unexplainable. No noise, no nothing, just a light coming up and going.
It was just a red, straight beam of light straight up in the sky. I don't know how far up it went, a long ways.
Yeah.
It lit up the whole
Yeah.
area. It looked like it was coming right out of the mountain.
Some speculate that the UFO sightings in Salida may have something to do with a top-secret military facility in nearby Colorado Springs. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, which monitors enemy planes, missiles, and spacecraft to warn of any impending attack on the U.S. and Canada.
I suspect the presence of NORAD has a lot to do with the sightings in this valley. Military bases are places where there are a lot of aircraft flying around, and many of them are aircraft that don't want the public to know they're there.
There was probably testing of equipment, again, that people were not used to seeing, so they reported as an unidentified flying object. To them, it is unidentified.
UFO enthusiasts like Jim Mars, the author of Alien Agenda, a book on UFOs, believes that if aliens are coming here, they may have a way of pinpointing military sites. Perhaps, they contend, aliens want to assess our defense capability.
It would seem to make sense that the existence of NORAD and other defense installations in Colorado might be an attractant to UFOs, because it is very plain in the literature that going back to World War II, the greatest number of sightings seem to always concentrate at military installations or atomic installations, some of the most sensitive points of our defense and research facilities.
Are the aliens spying on us by going to NORAD? Well, what's more likely? That aliens who have somehow mastered the technologies for interstellar space travel would come to us in our infancy of technology for flight to learn about us? Seems unlikely.
Arlene Shovald doesn't think so.
Nearly every night this week, some kind of light has been observed in various positions in the blue depths.
She's a reporter for Salida's Mountain Mail newspaper.
The strange light has appeared over Tenderfoot above Chavano and again in the northern sky, and at each time at great distances.
Her research of the Salida UFO mystery uncovered newspaper reports of sightings dating back to as early as 1897.
The earliest was 1897. There were two references to strange airships in the sky, and then I found, of course, the 1917 one. Some are described as saucer-shaped, some are described as cigar-shaped, some are described as lights.
Some, she says, are very similar to what Tim Edwards caught on tape.
When I first saw the video that Tim took, I thought it looks just like what was described in the old newspaper in 1917.
It may sound intriguing, but Shermer doesn't buy it.
The sightings of the 1890s are a no-brainer. We know what was going on there. That was the hot air balloons and the glider experiments and the dirigibles and blimps, and all that was the high technology of the day. So of course there was a wave of sightings, a flap of sightings of balloon-like objects, because that's what people expect to see.
There have been UFO sightings throughout history in many ancient texts, and it's quite possible that there were simply misidentifications of normal atmospheric phenomena and all kinds of things that could have been observed that people at that time would not have understood.
But UFO enthusiasts are not just looking to the heavens for signs of alien visitation. They claim they're finding evidence of UFOs right here on Earth, in this very valley, just down the road from Salida. No single area within Colorado's San Luis Valley ignites more fantastic claims of strange sightings than Saguache County. In particular, the view of the vast sky from the Valley View Hot Springs is a favorite for visitors interested in nature. Originally built as a resort in the early 1900s, like everything else in the area, the hot springs are a bit unorthodox.
We're clothing optional, swimsuits are not required, and we don't overdevelop. We keep it as simple as possible.
There are 5 warm water ponds at the springs with water temperatures at a consistent 98 degrees. But the best thing about the place may be the nighttime view.
It's an excellent place to watch the stars and meteorites and so forth.
Back in the old days, cowboys and Indians rode across this old frontier territory on horseback. These days, Bob D'Alessandro and Ken Storch tear across it in their Winnebago, in hot pursuit of the strangest phenomena they can find.
There's definitely something going on.
D'Alessandro and Storch have been called the Mud and Jeff of the San Luis Valley, the Space Squad of Saguache County, and just plain nuts.
Been called a lot of names, what we call ourselves. Investigators are researchers, if you will, into the planet police, into the phenomena of ufology.
They're dead serious about saving the world from an alien invasion.
We're talking about a serious situation here. If we get close to what we're looking for, I mean, people have disappeared, things have happened to people, they try and discredit you.
Somebody runs up to me and says, hey, I saw a little green man and he held a gun on me and robbed me of all my money. If they tell me it was little green men until I prove different, then that's what I go with. And I think I made a wrong turn here, gentlemen.
The planet police don't seem like much of a match for any kind of alien invasion force. D'Alessandro is a building engineer and part-time private investigator, and Storch is a Denver police officer.
The way I put it is I call him more of the politician. I'm more the enforcer. Watch your step there, Storch.
Hunting for space aliens is more than a hobby, but less than a full-time job. Between them, they've racked up lots of miles and shot lots of film.
We always carry a 35 millimeter, and I got a 600 millimeter with a 2X converter that I can put on this. We always carry binoculars. Always carried a ray gun.
A plastic ray gun? Well, at least the cameras may come in handy. Because their beat is the remote corners of Saguache, alleged by UFO enthusiasts to generate more reports of sightings than any other area in the Colorado Circle, maybe even the whole of America. Chris O'Brien has written about countless local sightings in 2 books, Enter the Valley and The Mysterious Valley.
You're more likely to see a UFO in Saguache County than any other county in the country.
Why are some places more central for sightings than others? Probably has to do with a combination of atmospheric phenomena, the geography, the temperature, and the psychology of expectation of the people going there.
UFO believers suspect there's some kind of connection between UFOs and the great sand dunes of Saguache County.
It's almost the bullseye center for our activity here. When we tend to have activity or waves of activity in the valley, generally it's centered around the dunes area.
The Great Sand Dunes are an official national park, the tallest dunes in North America, a wind-formed wonder stretching 39 miles square and standing 700 feet high. For thousands of years, the west winds have come over the Rockies and the Rio Grande River floodplain, picking up sand particles on the way. When the winds hit the wall of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains on the east side of the San Luis Valley, they drop the sand at its base. The wind changes the patterns constantly, shifting one rise here, another there. Yet the dunes are easy to hike because rain and snow keep them moist and stable. It takes only 2 hours to make it from the edge of the dunes to its tallest peak. The dunes are a geologic marvel. They are also, according to the UFO Computer Network, a hotbed for strange sightings. If aliens are indeed stopping by to play in this sandbox, UFO enthusiasts suspect they may be interested in something in the dunes. Deposits of magnetite, for instance, a crystalline black oxide of iron. D'Alessandro and Storch, the so-called planet police, regularly lead posses of UFO enthusiasts into the dunes. People willing to pay for the privilege of helping them stake out the dunes. The planet police say the dunes have been a goldmine for alleged UFO sightings for them and their posses. Some posse members took photographs of what are purported to be UFOs flying over the dunes.
One of them scraped the side of the dunes when it took off and apparently made a gouge on the side of the sand dunes.
And Storch claims these pictures are just some of the images he and his partner have collected.
I have enough evidence that I could cover the four corners for a warrant. I have eyewitness, I have photo documentation, there is physical trace evidence, i.e. cattle mutilations.
The planet police also claim they've seen UFOs with their own eyes.
I just seen it for a split second. It was a light that came up and it just stayed there, no sound, but it went back down.
Maybe the planet police should have built a UFO watchtower at the edge of the dunes. Local cattle rancher Judy Messeline thought it was a great idea.
I started meeting people around here. Everybody had a story. And at that point, I said, what we need down here is a UFO watchtower. Just giggled and went on with my life, you know?
Then the cattle market dropped, forcing Judy to sell her herd. Suddenly, she had to figure out another way to bring in money.
And then I looked at all this land I've got, and I said, now what are you going to do? And one of the farmers had heard me mention a UFO watchtower, and he said, Judy, why don't you just do it? So I did it. Here it is.
According to Judy, it worked. She says 2 UFOs showed up right on schedule.
One night it looked like a shooting star, and it got down below the peaks of the Sangres, and then it lost its momentum and just started floating, and then it took straight back up towards the sky. Now, I don't know if it really was a shooting star and those mountains made it do that or what, but you know, another night it was closer to the mountain range, but it was pretty thin and it was real long. I called it a cigar shape, and it just went zip like that.
Judy's granddaughter Samantha says she saw one too.
One morning I woke up and along the mountains right above the sand dunes, I saw this disc-like shape going across it, and then it kept going down lower and lower and disappeared into the sand dunes.
Others claim they have had similar sightings at the watchtower.
We had one that came up over the hill over here, and we watched it for a few minutes and it just disappeared.
I see this UFO ship in the daylight. It was like a bowl and a plate, and there was black windows all around it.
It's hard for me not to believe that there has to be other life, okay, that we're not the only ones here. But I don't know about little green men.
The watchtower has become so popular, Messeline opened a small gift shop.
And it's fun. We have alien masks that glow in the dark. And then we have keychains, spaceship candle, blow up aliens. These are stickers for the cars. Hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil.
The gag gifts are just for fun, but business at the watchtower continues to thrive. This eye is so alien to the San Luis Valley, it might as well be from another planet. This is, after all, the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, not the Florida Everglades. It belongs to an alligator at Colorado Gators in Alamosa County, just south of Saguache.
They live here because of the geothermal water, because the water is 87 degrees. In the wintertime, they all hibernate to this end of the pond because this is where the water comes in at. But in the summertime, they're all spread out. But it is because of the warm water they're able to survive here.
The alligators were originally brought here to eat the waste from these tilapia. Now their presence has made the farm a huge tourist attraction.
Okay, one hand under the chest there, one hand under the thickest part of the tail.
It was amazing to find alligators in the middle of Colorado with snow and the surrounding mountains. Very unusual, very awkward.
It doesn't even feel like an animal, really.
I feel like I'm holding history here, like a dinosaur. You know, it's close to get to a dinosaur. It's really pretty cool.
Not far from Colorado Gators is the Cottonwood Inn and Gallery. The only bed and breakfast in Alamosa, this quaint little hotel offers its guests amenities right out of another time.
As you can see here, there's always a cookie on a plate somewhere here for the guests checking in. I actually have a couple neighbors who walk by just to sample cookies.
They also sell candles, soaps, oils, and pottery, and have an art gallery.
It's a specialty store that we try to carry exclusively some of our artists from the San Luis Valley. You'll find oil and watercolors, you'll find black and white line prints that decorate our rooms and accent several different topics that we carry through the room.
According to local legend, Alamosa County has long been a place for the unexpected and often the unwelcome. The Native Americans found that out back in the 17th century. That's when Spanish explorers claimed this breathtaking land for their king. By the end of the 19th century, trains were bringing in pioneers who wanted their own piece of this mountain paradise.
This is one of the absolute wonderful places that you could possibly get away to see the sky and stargaze. It's amazing how you can walk out here just on the sidewalk with city lights and the stars are just asking for you to look up at them.
And like the rest of the valley, there are strange stories of sightings in the skies above Alamosa.
Welcome to the Rio Grande Files. Today we're talking with Leslie.
Local talk radio personality Thomas Pay says people call into his show with all kinds of wild tales. Even stories of people being abducted by aliens.
I probably have met 20 people within a 50-mile radius where I live that have had some strange event that they cannot explain. Where A, they lost time, B, they had missing tissue out of their shoulder, mysterious bruises, dreams that of being taken someplace that they could not explain.
Stanton Friedman, an author and lecturer on the subject of UFOs, says stories of alien abductions are common.
It's not just an American phenomenon, as some people would have you believe. It's certainly in the tens of thousands, to say the least. And the best researchers have collected at least 5,000 accounts amongst them.
Despite the number of accounts, neither believers nor skeptics can say whether they're true.
We don't have a good sampling of the whole spectrum of abduction experiences. And many of the people who have been abducted don't know that they have been. Maybe they did something bad, and that's why they don't remember it.
First of all, why is it no one ever sees these people being dragged out by the aliens to the UFO? But more importantly, why is it that in almost every case of supposed alien abductions, they say, oh, I didn't remember it until I was hypnotized or until I was given sodium pentothal? In the court of law, you cannot accept testimony from a witness who has been hypnotized because the hypnotist can do so many things to damage the memories. It makes me extremely skeptical about all of the alien abduction stories.
Even if you showed scars, which some of them do, they show these sort of weird-looking things that they've pulled out of their bodies that look to me a lot like stuff I've pulled out of my body from a splinter or something. It all looks just too explicable by normal means.
The skeptics are skeptical because there seems to be no logical explanation for what the aliens might be after. No evidence that physical abduction is real or that aliens even exist. This woman thinks she knows. She claims she's received messages from them.
The star people are here as a stabilizing influence, as a source of information, as a resource for spiritual attunement.
O.C. Eagle is a shaman, a medicine woman who can trace part of her multiracial ancestry to the Eastern Shoshone tribe. She says there is widespread belief among Native Americans in star people. She says they believe star people are entities from other worlds and that they've been communicating with them for a long time.
The star people have asked us to sit in meditation and prayer so as to amplify the frequency of peace, to amplify tolerance, to amplify generosity, to amplify the sense of unity and connection.
It's a part of a religious tradition that is passed down from generation to generation by the shamans, like O.C. Eagle. They believe the star people are drawn to the area by the spiritual power of the mountains, especially Mount Blanca.
Mount Blanca is called the Sacred Mountain of the East by the native tribes in the area and has the distinction of being one of the 4 sacred mountains that anchors the spiritual energy for this continent, in this area.
The shaman says she has communicated with the star people during prayer or meditation sessions like this.
The communications that I have with the star people would not be possible were it not for the meditation group that we've been sitting together and meditating together for more than 13 years now.
All cultures have mythologies involving transcendent beings of some kind. Whether they're spiritual or from another plane, another dimension, they're from these lights in the sky. All cultures have these things. That doesn't mean they're real.
Not all reports of alleged out-of-this-world encounters involve little green men. These tales are best told around a campfire, as evidenced at the next stop through the Colorado Circle, Taos, New Mexico. We're now leaving the Colorado side of the San Luis Valley, the valley some call America's UFO Central, and we're saying goodbye to the quaint Old West town of Salida, the glorious vistas of Saguache and Alamosa counties. Tim Edwards' UFO.
The space around the craft looked totally unworldly, too.
And Judy's watchtower.
I called it a cigar shape, and it just went zip like that.
But up ahead still lies Taos, New Mexico, southernmost point of the San Luis Valley. Taos is a thriving little tourist mecca, a winter wonderland, and a summer oasis, tucked away in the deserts of New Mexico. But within this land of enchantment, there lies another bizarre mystery. Ghosts that reportedly haunt the historic Taos Inn.
This is the kitchen at Doc Martin's restaurant, which makes the best food in Taos. It's also the center of most of our ghostly sightings and occurrences. There have been occurrences of cans falling off shelves, heavy blenders falling to the floor at night, lights flashing off and on.
Once the home of the only doctor in the county in the 1920s, the inn is deemed one of the city's best hotels.
Well, I think the Taos Inn is Taos. It says Taos in every possible way. The architecture, the colors, the people, the history. The history of Taos and the history of the Taos Inn are entwined. They're inseparable.
Like the rest of the San Luis Valley, people claim to see strange sights in the sky. But the Taos Inn seems to be relatively alien-free.
I mean, we may have aliens. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm not sure about some of our bartenders.
What they are certain about are ghosts.
Some people had died in their rooms, and in those particular rooms, there have been sightings. There have been voices heard. And even here in the lobby late at night, some of the front desk people have heard their names called by a voice that they could not place.
Their best guess is that the voice belongs to a man once called Arthur Manby.
This wall that we're looking at here, we share with what used to be Arthur Manby's home, and that is where his headless body was found.
Arthur Manby was a bitter old man who made and lost a fortune in a real estate swindle involving Spanish land grants. One day he was found dead. His head had been cut off and his large dog was lying next to him. Was it murder or lunch? To this day, it remains a mystery.
If a box of shrimp is missing, that'll get blamed on Manby. And he's probably blamed for a lot more stuff than he actually, who knows, might be responsible for.
One of our employees who works here regularly late at night, who's here all by himself in the kitchen cleaning all night long, has seen a figure watching him sitting on one of the tables that fits the description of Arthur Manby with his head.
If Manby is the troublemaker at the Taos Inn, there's apparently another spirit bent on doing good, Santa Barbara.
This is Santa Barbara. She is the saint to protect people from fire. A few years ago, there was a fire in the restaurant. It burned right up to this point and stopped. So we take very good care and believe in Santa Barbara.
This last stop through the mysterious Colorado Circle offers more than just ghost tales. It's also got tales of strange animal killings.
My neighbors called me up and we found a cow that was melted into the ground.
The most often told stories are those of the mysterious deaths of area cattle.
When you find one of these, they're kind of strange because it's not just your regular cattle death. There's oftentimes parts missing. They take the innards, or they'll cut off the ears, or they'll take the tongue or eyes or different things. The only similarity between them seems to be that there's always something different.
Cattle rancher Tom Reed particularly remembers one incident in 1990, the day he found a dead calf on his sprawling property, a calf he suspects didn't die from natural causes.
It had smooth cuts on it. It wasn't chewed like an animal would chewed it open.
Reed's veterinarian blamed it on coyotes.
He just glanced at it, says coyotes. But I've seen what coyotes do, and that was a cut, not something the animals had chewed.
But fast forward a few years.
I found calf number 36 dead on 5/8/99 at 9:30 a.m. Cow mutilation 5/4/99. Mutilation 2/8/2000. The right eye was missing, and the hole where the eye came from was approximately 2 inches deep. The edges of the hole looked like they had been knife cut. Mammary gland was gone. The cow smelled like butane. Investigator Gabe Valdez found enough trauma to the left shoulder to say that this is what caused the death of the cow.
Reed has kept a written log of every head of dead cattle he found and when, along with photographs of the remains. And the number of dead animals Reed has found has now grown to more than 50. In each case, Reed claims he saw no sign of an earthly killer. In one photo, Reed noticed a strange image in the background, what he believes may be a UFO.
I saw nothing in the sky, I heard nothing, but we've had enough mutilations. I've learned when I take pictures to back up a little bit and take a picture of the animal with the background, and this UFO showed up in the background.
Cattle mutilation is a phenomenon that some people have created, some human beings have mutilated these cattle to create the myth that aliens are doing this. It's hard for me to believe that an alien would have come 1,000 light years and just to cut up our cattle. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Not surprisingly, opinions vary widely on whether the picture is real evidence of a link between alien visitors and cattle mutilations.
I allow for the possibility of a connection between cattle mutilations and UFOs. Whether there is such a connection, I don't know. I haven't seen strong evidence that there is. That doesn't mean there isn't. Absence of evidence is not evidence for absence.
Funny how cattle mutilations tend to be prevalent in areas where there are predators who eat the carcasses of these dead animals. Should we be surprised? I don't think so.
Perhaps the strangest story around Taos is that aliens might be responsible for the mysterious deaths and disappearances of human beings. Even the believers don't buy that.
The big question, of course, is, are they really killing people? Are they eating people? Are they doing bad things to people? I tried really hard to find a documented instance of someone who was killed as a result of a close encounter or a UFO experience or an abduction. And a very close study of the literature seems to indicate really not.
Whether it's ghosts, aliens, or patron saints, no one can say with 100% certainty what's going on, which means the mysteries of the San Luis Valley are still out there.
In 10 years of investigation, I am way more confused now than I was before I started.
I have no idea whether the sightings in the San Luis Valley are going to continue. We don't know why they're happening in the first place. We don't know whether they're going to continue happening. And there is a worry that people who get excited about what happens there, every light in the sky will be deemed to be somebody's flying saucer when it probably isn't.
What are the chances that some advanced technological extraterrestrial intelligence, somehow mastered interstellar space travel, they've come all the way from some far distant planet through all those light years, they've managed to find Earth in this obscure outpost, and what are they going to do? They're going to do anal probes on people, cut out the genitalia of cows and leave circles in Farmer Bob's field? That's it? That's what these advanced intelligences are going to do? No thanks, I have no interest in meeting them.
What I would like people to come away with is, first of all, skepticism. There are a lot of things in this universe that people are not familiar with, a lot of atmospheric phenomena. There are hoaxsters out there and liars. And on the other hand, I would also like people to realize that it is likely that there are other civilizations in the universe. So let's look for them, but be hard-headed about it. Let's be very skeptical and insist on really solid, irrefutable proof.
The stories of the San Luis Valley are as enduring as its snow-covered slopes and sun-dappled waters. Whether or not any of these curious tales are true, people will surely keep coming here. Because thanks to Mother Nature, this region has plenty of its own terrestrial wonders to see.